Imagine an independent evaluator coming into our center right now. He has no cultural attachments, he has no emotional attachments, he does not even belong to our madhab. He enters into the majlis, he sees the black flags, he sees the black clothes, he sees the tears, he hears the echoes of Ya Hussein in every single corner. He says, beautiful. And then he asks us, what are you doing exactly? So we say to him, we're commemorating and crying over the tragedy of our third Imam, who was killed by the Yazid of his time for standing up against tyranny. Okay. He says, we just heard in the lecture right now that you believe that every single time has an Imam, every single era has an Imam. So who's the Imam of your time? We say, yes, Hujjat ibn al-Hasan Sahib al-Zaman. He is in occultation at this moment in time, prophesied by the Prophet, prophesied by the A'immah Tahirin, and he will return at the end of times to establish justice, to establish peace. So then he looks at us and he says that, okay, very good. Are you doing anything to prepare for him? Are you creating a community that is ready to receive him? We hesitate. And he's a bit confused now. And then he says, okay, you cursed the Yazid of 1400 years ago. Naturally, when the Imam of your time rises, he will face opposition. Have you recognized and identified or are opposing the Yazids of your time? Have you warned your children against them? Have you identified them? Silence. So he says, let me get this straight. Are you mourning and crying over the failures of the people back then, but repeating that failure right now? And he's not mocking us, he's not condemning us, he's just holding up a mirror. And in that mirror we see the uncomfortable truth and the reality that the difference or the distance between Ashura and the Dhuhoor of the Imam is the distance between our beautiful rituals and the spirit behind those rituals. So what was Karbala meant to do for us? And here the great Sayyid enters into the scene. Samahat al-Sayyid, Shaheed Sayyid. Never let his memory leave your heart. He says, Karbala is what creates the generations that are capable of preparing for the Imam of the time. He says Karbala is what creates the generations that are ready to support and assist the Imam of the time in establishing peace, in establishing justice, in eradicating oppression and injustice. Hence there must be a connection between Ashura and the Dhuhoor of the Imam. Now we take it a level higher. The question, why is it that after gathering for 20, 30, 40 plus years and attending these majalis, that this connection between Ashura and the Dhuhoor of the Imam has not yet been established within us? And why not? Why hasn't that mobilization yet happened? There are many answers to this question, but all answers can be stemmed under one overarching answer, and that is this: either we haven't understood Ashura correctly, or either we haven't understood the Dhuhoor of the Imam correctly, or either we haven't understood both correctly. What is our understanding of Ashura? Here, individuals fall into one of two narratives, one of two categories. Most individuals are in the first category. A few amount of people are in the second category. And the second narrative is what we need to reach. The first narrative views Ashura as a tragedy only. It is the greatest tragedy, but they view it as a tragedy only. It has the marsi, it has the matam, it has the majlis, and all of this is absolutely necessary. This is our red line. May we be sacrificed for this azah of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. This is our red line. But it stops there. They don't realize that just as rain falls and softens the earth, these tears were meant to fall and soften our heart and prepare our heart and cleanse our heart of all of these idols of fear and remaining in our comfort zones and public opinion and ego and what other people think. It was meant to cleanse our heart of all of these idols so that it can prepare our heart for those Hussaini principles to be established and take root from within. This was the purpose of the first narrative, and this is where most of us have remained. We have only remained in the Majlis Matam, and we have to continue this. It absolutely has to continue. This is how our madhab has actually survived. But they forget that there's a second narrative as well. This narrative doesn't reject the first narrative. It embraces it and it takes it forward. It uses it and it takes it forward. It says that if your tears for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam are truly true, then you live like Hussein alayhi salam. If you curse the Yazid of 1400 years ago, then you identify and oppose the Yazid of today as well, so that you can help the Imam of your time. But when we remain in the first narrative, we don't even realize that there's a second narrative to reach, then a few very dangerous consequences to begin to take place. A person can live in an illusion, sit here on the mimbar of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, recite the masa'ib of Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam, and say how he was killed by the Yazid of 1400 years ago. But this same person will smile and take photos and act peacefully with individuals who justify the killing of 17,000 children in Gaza, for example. Sometimes even in the libas of scholars sometimes. And an individual can oppose and curse Ibn Ziyad, and Ziyarat al-Ashura will curse Ibn Ziyad. But this individual who enabled the actions of Yazid 1400 years ago, but the same individual will have no problem inviting the current day Ibn Ziyads into our centers. Individuals who enable the actions of our times Yazids by supplying them with F-35 parts or whatever. We'll have no problem, because we haven't truly understood Ashura correctly. And because we haven't understood Ashura correctly, and because those Hussaini principles haven't yet been established within our heart, then we don't see the world with the eyes that we need to see the world with. And we don't understand, and we don't find it within our hearts the need and the urgency to prepare for the reappearance of the Imam of our time.